Good evening, I'm Leonardo Puglisi. Welcome to Uncensored, where we go in depth with the key newsmaker about issues that matter to them and matter to you, of course. We want to hear from you, the viewer, so please join the conversation by using the hashtag 6newsau in the comments or on social media, or email your feedback to us at contact@6newsau.com. Now, the seat of Kooyong has been held by the Liberal Party for decades, but Dr. Monique Ryan wants to change that. She's running as an independent in the federal election with a focus on climate change, but is she really a fake independent, as some have suggested? I spoke to her earlier from the newsroom. Dr. Monique Ryan, welcome to 6 News.
Thank you very much. Lovely to be here.
Glad to have you here. So let's just start with the basics. Why are you deciding to run for the seat of Kooyong?
I'm running for Kooyong as an independent because I have a strong commitment to action on climate change, which is something that our current government is not demonstrating. I'm also really interested and committed to action on greater integrity and transparency in government, on improved gender equity and aged and mental health care services as well.
Now, why run as an independent and not from minor parties? Because there are a fair bit of challenges that come with being an independent rather than just, settling for a party.
There's lots of challenges that come with being an independent, but there's also some fantastic opportunities as well. I don't have to answer to my faction. I don't have to answer to the dictates of a major party. I can formulate my own policies or positions based on what the people in my electorate tell me. And that gives me a lot of freedom to act on the things that I really think are important, independent of external pressures as well.
And look, some have said that you and other independents like you are just fake independents, saying that you are a front for, Labor and the Greens. How do you respond to that? Is that accurate?
It's crazy. It's kind of funny, really, and it's a bit desperate, and it's getting stale already. Lots of the independents have come from different backgrounds. Some of us have been members of major parties, some haven't, but all of us are frustrated with the major parties and the political system as it is, and that's why we are, as you said, taking on something a bit challenging, but also something that gives us great opportunities.
Well, look, in an interview with The Age in December, you did say you're a political, quote, clean skin, but then you later admitted you were a former Labor member for, if memory serves me right, 2007 to 2010. Do you believe you should have admitted that up front?
Look, I didn't deny it, and it was I think the language was just a bit confusing. I actually do consider myself a clean skin. I've never been to the meeting of a political party in my life. Yes, I joined the Labor Party briefly, but I never went to any of their meetings and I had no active involvement. So I still believe myself to be a clean skin. I guess the language was a bit confusing at the time. I voted a lot for different parties in different elections. I'm someone who always just follows what they believe and what they feel to be important. And so the whole Labor Party thing is just noise from the opposition, really.
And why did you decide to no longer become a member of Labor?
Well, at the time, they were Mr. Rudd was elected on a platform of which one of the major things was action on climate change, and he walked away from that. And I found that really frustrating. Now, subsequently, Malcolm Turnbull was elected Prime Minister with a commitment to act on climate change, and I thought that was going to be great for Australia, but then he walked away from that. Hence the frustration, hence feeling that the best way to take action on this sort of thing yourself is as an independent.
So you're talking about climate change right now, and you've been, talking about it on your website as one of your big priorities. What action do you actually want done?
I've got a number of things I'd like to engage with, but the major one is really just to take advantage of the economic possibilities that effective and rapid action in that space will give Australia. We have fantastic opportunities to ensure our economic future for the next generation and subsequent generations by engaging with electrification of our energy supplies, decarbonising, disengaging from fossil fuels, and greater forward planning and targeted rollout of renewables in that space. And that will be fantastic for us, not just in terms of the impact on our environment, but it will also have a massive impact on us economically.
Now, how are you actually going to be able to achieve all this? Because I make no secret, I live in Kooyong. I'm obviously a few years below the voting age, but the Liberals have been in for all my life. They've been in for so long. How are you going to be able to become the first person in several decades to actually take the seat of Kooyong as a non-Liberal?
Actually, in 122 years of its life, the seat of Kooyong has only ever been held by white male Conservative politicians. And so we are heading for a massive change in the zeitgeist. It's doable, and it's doable because the people of Kooyong are people who adhere to traditional values that the Liberal Party has actually walked away from. So the current government is really held hostage to the National Party and to Barnaby Joyce and all of the pressures and limitations he's put on them in terms of the policies that they've brought to the government. They haven't brought the policies that traditional small L Liberal voters are wanting in Kooyong, and they do include things like action on climate change. They do include transparent and humane response to refugees. They do include things like greater integrity and transparency in government, because the people of Kooyong think that's really important. And there's a real groundswell of support for my campaign because people are disillusioned with party politics as it currently exists.
Now, look, a hung parliament is certainly a possibility come May when the election should be. Is there a party you'd be more willing to work with if you were elected and if there was a hung parliament?
It would be inappropriate and ill-advised for me to commit to anything at this point, because one of the beauties of our political system is that in something like a hung parliament, someone on the crossbench does have a real opportunity to affect change on behalf of their electorate, and that's what I would do. So I would negotiate with both of the major parties and any other people who wanted to talk to me in order to best be able to affect those changes for the electorate of Kooyong.
Now, you've been talking about what the people of Kooyong want, in your view. Have you actually been, on the ground and speaking to them?
I have. I've been out and about every day that I can. Just in the last week, I've been in ISO, as so many of us have. But people are telling me the same thing, and that is that they are sick of politics. They are sick of politicians. They're sick of the major parties. They're sick of the endless outpouring of facts about the lack of integrity and transparency, the rorting, the grants going astray, the pork barrelling. We find every day we hear more and more about this, and people are sick of it. And that's what they want to change. And so the welcome that I've received on the streets of Kooyong in all parts of the electorate has been really exciting and has really reinforced my belief that this is the right thing for me to be doing.
Now, look, I just want to say that I make no secret this is a pre-recorded interview, and it has been recorded just over a week before airtime. Only half an hour ago we found out that Prime Minister Scott Morrison is reportedly going to sack Alan Tudge. What do you think this says about the state of the coalition, that we are getting almost regular leaks about division in the current government?
Well, I wasn't aware of that. That's an interesting thing. I mean, that the pool of talent in the Liberal Party is really getting quite shallow now. With, I'm not sure what metaphor to use, whether we talk about lemmings or we talk about rats. But I know our current government doesn't really like us talking much about rats off sinking ships or up our noses. Look, I think Minister Tudge has had lots of personal problems, but he's also had problems related to his performance. This is a minister whose actions were labelled illegal by the federal court last year. I think there is a real problem with the data talent in the current coalition government, and that has been exposed by the last couple of years.
All right. Now, just finally, are you confident in your chances of getting elected? And just on that, have you got any, predictions for the final results in terms of which party may get into government?
Oh, look, it's going to be fascinating. I think after the last federal election, no one feels confident making predictions about which of the major parties might have a majority or relative advantage after the next federal election. I think that the independents will play a really important role, and I certainly hope and expect to be one of those. The indications that we have from within the electorate of Kooyong that is going to be an extremely close competition between myself and the incumbent. And I believe that I can win this seat. And it's on the crest of a wave of grassroots support and frustration with the way that politics in this country is currently running. I think things are going to change up very, very soon.
Right, Dr. Monique Ryan, independent candidate for Kooyong. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
There we go, that was Dr. Monique Ryan speaking to me earlier. Again, we want to hear from you, so join the conversation by using the hashtag 6NewsAU in the comments or on social media, or email your feedback to us as well, contact@6newsau.com. And of course, for more coverage of the upcoming federal election, check out our website where we've got a dedicated section set up. That website is 6newsau.com. I'm Leonardo Puglisi. Thanks for your company. Have a great night.